Hey guys, welcome. Another good match for you here today. This was Masters from this month. So each month we play, and it's usually two matches at a time. So coming out of the gate here, if you've seen any of my recent matches, you've noticed that just my style feels like it's changing. I'm coming in with more confidence. I'm trying to be more aggressive, um, relaxing more during competition, just thanks to the mental work that I've been doing. So really reaping the results from that. And we're coming in against this team. These players were all new to me, um, but make a good opening break shot, and unfortunately didn't make a ball. But this is a very playable table. I think either suit really works here. The only issue I think for the solids at this point would be the nine blocking, the two potentially blocking the three. So I like my opponent's choice to go for the stripes. And it's that interesting strategy that we've talked about in match commentary here, and then in the comments. Just the idea that hey, oftentimes in amateur matches, the first player to go for the run out, if they don't actually run out, they're more likely to lose that particular rack. So we'll see how this shakes out. But as I said, coming in with big confidence here, I'm just raring to get a look at the table. And my opponent, Kevin, he's a good shot. I think he was maneuvering well to get over for the 9 to the 11, maybe get position, coming around the 14, play 14, 10, 8. Could have been a good run out. Gets a little out of line here. And on this particular day, I had my dad and my brother with me watching the match. So it was really nice having them there. Some color commentary on the side as well, which not super distracting. He actually had a look at the 9. The camera was a little deceiving there, but punches off the 9 a little bit too much and gets away from the 13. So now he's left with a tough choice. I think I might try to get safe here. I think I might naturally want to come off the 14 and put him under the 11. But it was fun having family there, and bit of a mixed bag. I do think that's what he tries. Maybe a bit of a two-way, playing the 14 bank shot. Bit of a mixed bag is what I was going to say about having family there, because on one hand, I have a bit of a chip on my shoulder, I think, coming into this new division. I have something to prove, especially against this next team, so stay tuned. The next match that I post it's going to be interesting. It's kind of been haunting me. I don't want to spoil anything, but it's going to be a really interesting video. This particular match with Kevin has stuck with me as well. But I feel like I've got something to prove. I want to show off in front of my dad and my brother, and that's not always the healthiest thing. I just need to be there to play my game. We have to open up with a pretty tough shot on this 5 ball. And this is just mechanics, just solid mechanics. Punch out across the table. The 2 can back you up. You might come across for the 7 or the 4. I think in this case, I'm not trying to do too much with the cue ball. I just need to make sure that I make the ball. And I always knew the 1 ball was going to pose a problem here because it's on that spot on the table that nobody likes. Luckily, there's enough of the point to avoid the scratch. So I think we need to clean up the 1 ball here, dive into the rail a little bit, back out for the 7. This is a very open, very runnable layout. So I'm going to be going for a table run here. I remember feeling pretty steady to start, and then things getting a little shaky around mid-match. I'll be excited to hear what you guys have to say about this one. Because the mental game is so much stronger, the confidence is so much stronger, but I certainly noticed that it was falling off a little bit. Nice simple stroke there, and I knew that I would be giving myself the option of the 4, the 6, or the 2 if I needed to bail myself out. But I want to take care of the 4 and the 6 and then work my way back down table towards the 2 and the 3 later. So here off the 4, I'm straight enough that I'm trusting my draw stroke to pinch towards the 8. The 3 and the 2 backing me up if things go awry. I got a little bit more out of that than I needed. The 3 and the 2 are still playable, and you could certainly change up your pattern if you needed to here. I do go around to look at windows for the 2. You can play into this area to play the 2 ball, or you could come all the way around off the 6 to get back down into this area where the 3 or the 2 would be playable. Incidentally, when I was warming up on this particular table, I was practicing this type of positional shot. Quarter ball cut, sort of maybe some running English to open it up a little bit on the second rail if you need it. But this is a really natural line to come back down towards the 3 and the 2. Just play the 6 clean. Side pocket won't come into play here as long as you don't cheat the pocket too much. Speed was a little off. I don't think I really was paying too much attention to perfect speed. Could have put more energy into that, I think, in this case. And now we have a bit of a split decision. Do you take a difficult cut on the 2, knowing that the thin cue ball is going to come back out for the 3 pretty naturally, but it increases the difficulty of the shot? Or do you take a slightly easier shot? Neither is super easy because you're on the rail, but slightly easier to pocket the 3 and then have to accept basically that line that I was looking at of the 2 ball on the side. 2 ball obviously can't go down here, so I think it's take your medicine on the 2 ball. Just put that one down. And I do practice these shots off the rail. It's Billiards University has their exams, and it's one of their tests of fundamentals, straightness of stroke, and level cueing, that sort of thing. But I felt, just historically, I felt pretty comfortable with those shots. They really don't bother me that much. I can understand why mechanically they would bite you in some cases, but that one's just pure accuracy of ball pocketing. You don't have any room really from that far down table to cheat the pocket, so you just have to play the 2 ball clean and don't get too fixated on speed. But it's a solid run out. So like I said, that bringing that confidence in, I am out for blood, and I really want to make a ball on this break. There's that sort of shift of everything moving over to the side where I make impact. And I've been doing some work to clean up my break shot. Take what you make APA format. We have to go for the stripes here. And I'm not upset about that, because if I end up turning the table over for whatever reason, whether it's a miss or a safety, my opponent has a lot of work to do to clean up these solids. One of those situations where, I might have mentioned it in my last video, it just feels like the layout favors one player winning. I'm looking at my window for the 9. I know that I have to clear the 13 as early as possible. If we can do that off the 11 early, that's ideal. It looks like I've got that angle, so I have to cut the 11, let the cue ball float down, just holding it. Really easy touch. That's pocket speed. Basically just enough energy to get the ball to the pocket. That's also, I think that one is a direct benefit of me having warmed up on this table, that I got a really good feel for the speed. It's not always going to be possible or even allowed, depending on the format, but hey, take it when you can get it. In this case, you could, I don't think I have the angle to come off the 12 into the cluster, but you might as well just play the 13 here and either come out into the 5 or come across table above or below the 5 to get on the 12 or the 10. Yeah, I'm using the 5 to stop myself here. This played out really nicely. Really, the only issue left is tidy position on the 9. You could theoretically get there from the 12, but then going from the 9 to the 10 is touchy. I would rather either play down into the short rail and up for the 10, somewhere in this area like I was cueing just now, or come out and around off the 12, depending on how much angle there is here, how much I want to cheat it. Just coming straight back up seems the simplest. In this case, I played out a little too much. This could have gotten swampy, but I played out a little bit because in this case, I know that the window opens up the farther away you get from the object ball. You're playing into a bigger window out here than you would if you tried to get close to the 10. And now, before, I think the play was going to be come off the 10 and play down for the long rail to get on that side of the 9. From here, I'm straight enough on the 10 ball that I'm just going to draw back along anywhere along the long rail works. And again, the window gets bigger the more you get farther away from the 9. This is a good play, though. Good speed, and the angle on the 9 doesn't matter too much in this case. It might have been nice to play a stop shot or just sort of a snip draw to get short side on the 8. In this case, I have to consider rolling through. I don't love bringing the 4 ball into play. If I do draw back off the 9 from here, you either run into the 4 and then you get on top of the 8. I think you have to roll through this. I think you dive in with high ball, come out, and back around for the 8 in the side. Pretty simple to play this. Yeah, played that clean. This is a competent break and run. So a little table run and break and run. We never miss this ball. Don't even think about it. No way. You guys know I want this 2-pack. I want a 2-pack so bad. Can he do it? This is opening up. There's some potential here. Solid down. The 4 and the 7 are very playable. I immediately look at the 3. The 3 ball is challenging. It's got 2 pockets. I think it goes in the side, and it definitely goes in this corner, but it's limited past that. What I was looking at there is playing off the 7. If you're in this area, do you have the 6 ball as a backup? If I overshoot my position window on the 3. This is one of the things that I love about 8 ball, this picking it apart, the strategizing. And if you're playing good patterns and you're staying level, you're keeping your mood under control, your energy level, kind of the nerves, the opponent doesn't get involved, right? Especially in a winner breaks format, you can really take advantage of going on little runs here. We're punching out off this 4. Hardly even a punch. Basically just taking advantage of the slight back cut to get tidy on the 7. And this one is really, it's a simple follow shot to get down below the 3. I remember this shot because I started getting shaky and I did not reassess. I didn't get back up. You can't see a visible shake, but look at how bad I hit that 7 ball. And I get a result. Obviously not what I want. In truth here, I catch a bit of a roll in the fact that I can still see the 6. Pool gods saw fit to give me an option here. But by rights, getting punished there, getting into a bad spot would have made sense. Would have felt justified. I hit that 7 ball so bad. It's not sure, guys. Fear of success sometimes. Just sort of the metacognition, like aware of my game and how well things have been going and the pressure of the run. So this is a bear down moment, kind of a capstone for my mental progress. I have to pull off the 6 ball to get under the 3. And that's how you recover. I hit that really good. And we're a little weird on the 3. We're not quite where we wanted to be. It's such a small window to get perfectly straight on the 3 in the side. And I knew that I would rather under hit this because I don't want to bring the 14 and the 13 into play again. If you have to consider playing the 3 to the corner, the cue ball's going to roll off. Maybe it brings the 10 into play, something like that. You at least have a pocket. I think I scout this out a little bit because it's awkward. And I need the right angle on the 1 ball to get down for the 2, but the 2 is really open. There's a big window on the 2. Obviously the 9 cuts out a piece of that. But if you get any kind of look at the one from down table, you can pretty much always come off the one and get onto the two. I think I just resigned myself to make the 3 and not get on top of the 10 or behind the 10. I think it's a natural angle here, though, of just making this 3 ball without crazy speed. Yeah, pretty full into the 10. Slight overcut, right? Slightly using the inside of the pocket there. This looks pretty good. The 9 ball comes into play. If you cut this thin enough, you could rub off the 11. I don't want to try to do too much here. I think you just need to get a look at the 2. Yeah, I went on the thinner side. Oh, dude. I let up on the stroke too. And the unfavorable rub off the 11 sent me just on top of the 2 ball. This was really prime to put me on the 8 ball. The 8 does go past the 13. I was playing for that shape. Tough outcome. I sit with this one for a minute. The back cut just did not look possible to me at first glance. I think I consider, this was a couple weeks ago now, but I think I consider going out and back to try to kick this in and then just accept a long shot on the 8. The other problem with the back cut is you have to juice this up a little bit, putting plenty of speed into the cue ball because it's so thin. The 2 doesn't take much energy. You have to really load it up. And that sends the cue ball wild. It's hard to account for where the cue ball is going to end up. Did not love how this felt. The kick shot on its own is tough, but having to shoot over the 2, you get some unintentional side spin or even a masse effect, and getting safe is really tough from here. I just try for the back cut. Even that thin, sure. Even that thin, I'm playing into the point. Weirdly goes around table and doesn't hit anything and scratches. So, full gods change their minds. They taketh away. And my opponent is coming in a little cool. He hasn't seen the table in a while, but I leave him a fully open, very runnable table with ball in hand. I think, a lot of 500 plus, a lot of 500 level players will run this out. 600 plus, they're going to do it 9 times out of 10. I don't mind starting with the 9 ball. I think maybe taking the 15 might have made sense too. The 13 blocks the 14, so that is complicated, but it's not going to be a run ender. Little floaty off that 9 ball. I think he was probably playing for the 15, but now he can clear up the 13, which opens things up even more. If the 15 hadn't been there, that would have been a tough roll. But he should be fine here. 15, 10, 14, 12, 8. I like how he's approaching it too, because he's letting his stroke out a bit more. He's got to loosen up, get into his rhythm. He's okay on the 12 here, a little thinner than he might like, but this is still workable. I'll have to let the cue ball out a bit. Come back around 3 rails potentially. Okay, he was able to hold it a bit. And just accept a long shot on the 8, bear down moment. He should be able to put this away. Nice. what you got to do. Good table run. So we got a ball game here. So good opening with the break. Some clusters to deal with down table. He has stripes. Stripes are playable. The only real issue you've got down is the 10 right here. The 11-12 combo plays, although it will want to send the 11 onto the short rail. If he can get on the 10, you either play it past the 12 or you play the 10 into the 12. Be curious to see what he does here. At this point, I remember feeling pretty settled. I felt accomplished. I just kind of enjoyed how the first couple racks went. I was disappointed that I didn't get that other run out, but things were lining up well, and I think at that point it just amounted to a bad roll. He's going after the combo here. No, he's going after the 12 clean. Maybe trying to break out the 10. Gets a tough result. The 10 plays from here. I would probably go after the 10 as long as the scratch doesn't come into play off the 5. Because otherwise, he's going to have to do something with a 14. This is getting tougher and tougher. I don't mind moving the 10. He must have a cut on the 11, which could take him into the 10 if he wants to break it out. That's a nice touch. The 10 doesn't lay up for a cut, but there is a very playable bank from here. It'd be cool to see him do a break and run in this case, and then we're sort of trading off. He's got to play the bank. It's a good attempt. Okay. Let's see if the stats play out in our favor this time, right? He breaks, goes for the run out, and then does not run out. It played out that way in the last game. I broke and attempted the run out, and then he won that game. I'm looking at my window for the 3. Getting safe would be tricky in this rack. I think you have to go for the run out. You want to get good position on the 3, and then hopefully the 3 leads you to the 2 or the 4. So the work is clear out these up table and then work our way down. I go from the 7 to the 1 here because I'm seeing the 6, just like the previous rack, as a good option to come out and around and get down table. I'm gonna punch off this. Yeah, give myself a little bit less of an angle. Could have done with more than that, I guess, but so I must be looking at coming around. You could hold it. I might be looking at that, sort of hold it into here and get on the 2. If you get on the 2 with the right angle, then you can stay on this side of the table. Play off the 4 to get to the 3, something like that. That might be what I do. Easy speed there. I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't overplaying this or bringing the side pocket into play. It'd be tempting to, looking at a safe, I'm gonna pause it quick. It would be tempting to, if I don't like this 2 ball for whatever reason, it's playable, but it's also, you're running into the 4. Play the 3. Play the 3 full into the 10 ball, and then with follow, try to encourage the cue ball to get down below the 8 to block him or to leave him a scratch angle on the 14. I don't hate that. It's the only downside to this pool hall. I just saw the light on the back of my head. We're pretty close to the front door, and your eyes get adjusted to the darker conditions, the lights of the tables, and then they open the door and it's just facing the sun all day long, and so you just get blasted. So I missed this 2 ball. I was trying to hold it too much in this case, and we catch a roll by tying up the 8. He's got a great look at his 10. I'd say a fair amount of players would leave the 10 ball there. It's sort of a backup pocket blocker. He can play and cut the 14, but he's got to figure out how he's addressing the 10. If he plays the 10 to the 14, then he's maybe got to line up some kind of bank shot on the 8. Plays the 10 well, and he does. I think he's got a workable angle to come off the 14 into the 3 or the 8. Yeah, he tries it. It's a good attempt. A little too high on the cue ball, I'd say. He needed to stun off of it, closer to center ball. Calls it cross side, so he's attacking this. Again, a lot of players I think would be tempted to go safe and maybe just nestle the cue ball up behind the 8, leave the 8 on the 3. But he just goes for it. I think it was tracking too. We're fortunate to get back to the table here. Combo's on, 4 to the 2. You have to figure out a way to keep the cue ball down there or play into something. We're steep enough on the 4 that coming into it, it's going to want to either come back out into the 8, or if you go thinner, down and out. Just focus on making the 2 and giving yourself some kind of option. It'd be hard to hold it for the 5. Playing into the 8's probably the best way to do it here. Cut the 4, cue ball comes into the 8, the 4 goes down, the cue ball goes away from it. I'm probably just going to go smooth here and try to... I went with inside, which is risky. I might not have considered playing into the 8, but I do think that was the play. Now we're in trouble again. Tough to get safe. Cut the 4 towards the 5. I think what I do is come off the 3 and try to get him up table. It's a really common safety shot. You see the pros do it a lot, and it's worth practicing. It's more of a containing shot. You'll leave him a look at the ball. It's really hard to hide this 8 ball here or hide the cue ball. But basically you're giving him a shot where I was actually attempting to hide the 8. It's pretty close. That's pretty close, man. It's a good attempt. Hard to control both of those. So he's got to look at the 8. I think a lot of players would just try to cut this in. The 4 ball makes it really safe. Slow down the cue ball and you're unlikely to scratch. But this is a tough cut. Oh, he ended up overcutting it. How often does that happen? Right, you're left with a really tough cut shot and you overdo it, sort of overcompensate. The 8 is blocking the 5. Maybe not completely, but enough that it's complicated the situation here. I think we're going to stun off this 4 ball or follow through and roll off the 4 to get a good angle on the 3. You either want to be above this 3 ball so that you're coming down into it like this, or you want to be below the 3 ball like that. It's easy to overplay this and get awkward. If you get too extreme of an angle on the 3, it's hard to control it to get onto the 5. This should be doable from here. So you're playing the 3. Cue ball comes out, and then probably bringing this rail into play. You don't want to open this up too much because then the corner pocket comes into play. I think we just have to get on the 5 and use the momentum to push the 5 past the 8. It might go off the 8. I remember, I think it was playable off the 8. And it's a bit of a two-way. You make sure you get it past the 8 so that it blocks the pocket, or it goes in and then you're golden. But we really want to pick up this game of 8-ball. You want to float down. This is speed control. I went pretty full on the 3. That's fine. Speed's pretty good. Getting straight in on the 5 would help. It's still playable with an angle. I get down and look at it, and I remember looking at this shot and feeling like it wouldn't go. But in retrospect, it definitely could have gone. So while at the table, this is basically just a misjudgment. I underplay this just to try to block the pocket to get the 5 in front of the 8, but not go for the make. I really needed to go for the make here. And the camera makes it seem like it might be blocked by the 5, but if anything, I made it easier for him to thin cut this 8-ball in. So this is a very playable 8-ball now. Yeah, a little nudge off the 5, and he snags that one. 2-2 in the 8-ball set. I remember feeling a little salty at this point now. Basically, I gave up 2 games, whatever that means. My opponent's playing great. He's staying level. And I've definitely had some chances, but I'm also missing shots that I do not need to be missing, like that 2-ball. Happens to everybody. The real mark here, really what I'm working on the most in the game is that composure thing. The more composed you are over longer periods of time, the more likely you are to outperform your opponent. Because mechanically, things are solid for me, at least in my opinion. I feel like fundamentally I'm where I need to be. There's always work that I can do on that, and I'm always learning about more shots and systems and techniques and what have you, but that's why so much of what I talk about on the channel is that mental aspect of how do you just keep your cool? How do you stay composed? And the bad rolls or the bad luck or, your opponent slopping something in, I mean, that's stuff that you just will never be able to control. So if you can mitigate how much energy you waste on worrying about that stuff or complaining about that stuff, your results are going to improve. He's got to deal with the clusters here. The 9-ball goes, but it's hard to get good shape on it. The 10 and the 11 are in a weird spot, so he try to get into them right there. I think he was trying to run into them. This is a really tricky layout. The 7 and the 4 over here are clustered in such a way that they don't want to go anywhere. I might have an angle right now. I don't remember if I saw this at the table or not, but I might have an angle right now to where play the 3 in the corner and let the cue ball go into the 7 and the 4. But it's so hard to judge what's going to happen with those. And in no way are you guaranteed a shot after the fact. So I end up looking at the 6. Because the 6 is hard to get on, it only goes here. Sorry about the bumps on the camera. Somebody must be pounding the table. But I have just a slight angle on the 6. You could either pinch back to play the 5 in the side or try to stun over. I think I was trying to stun over for the 1. I end up on top of the 5. I think I still have a look at the 1, though. That could have been worse, for sure. And I also believe I've got the cut on the 2. It's super thin, but that should still be playable from here. Getting safe is tough. You don't want to be shooting yourself into a corner ever, unless you have a clear run out. You just don't want to be removing options. But what's the safe here? I mean, come off the 5? Send him up table, and then you're going to be giving him a look at the 14, most likely. I must have the 1-ball playable, because I'm looking at where I will end up. If I maybe come across table, I can play into the 3, hopefully breaking out the 7 and the 4. This is a really tough run out. Okay. We caught a bit of a roll there, to be honest, that we even had the look at the one. I don't know if I consider the two ball at all. I wouldn't have minded playing the two, but it's one of those where you start to think about, if I miss, does it block the pocket? And I might have considered it, but saw that it wouldn't really avail me anything to block that pocket. Now we have a thin back cut on 3. Shooting ourselves into a corner, as I said. The 3 doesn't really give us much. It's tough to hold it for the 2, and the 2 doesn't go past the 14. Tough to get on the 5. Maybe you just play a safe here. Shoot the 3 into the cluster and then bring him up table. Or come off the 3 and get him onto the backside of the 2 so that he doesn't have a look at the 14. Went for the back cut at such a speed that I think I was trying to play into the 2 ball. Not really sure. But missed the cut either way. And turn things over. I think the 10 goes in the side. I think he can play that 10 ball, and if he does that, things open up a lot for him. That's probably a good approach from here. Play the 14, get on the 10 or the 9. Earlier the better with the 10 ball. Well, dancing with the 8 ball a little bit, that could have gotten pretty dicey for him. He's got to look at the 9, but he has some work to do to get back down onto the... Oh, maybe he does have the 10 from here. Overcuts. Disturbs the 7-4, but not in a helpful way. And my options are limited. I have full access to the 2. 2 ball cuts. It's thin and it's a reach. Is there a possibility you play into the 7-4? Yes. Difficulty's pretty high. There's a safe here. You could probably just bank the 2 and leave him on the bottom side of the 8. I rather like that, looking at it now. As long as the angle on the 2 doesn't bring the 2 ball back into play. I remember the pressure coming up at this point, though. This is, again, one of those layouts where it just feels like it favors stripes, and has, because of that cluster from the beginning. I think you have to look at a safe off the 2 ball here. There's not much you can do off the 7. I don't have access to the 3, I don't think. Oh, I'm trying to go off the 4 and put him below the 2. Get in there. Oh, it's so close. That's a good attempt. I forgot I did that. It's sort of a two-way safe where you're playing him safe, you're making things complicated for him, if not hooking him, and clearing up your cluster at the same time. Completely forgot about that. It's not a bad play. Difficulty's still high, right? It's tough to get off the 4 ball with the proper speed to put him under the 2. Pretty close. But if he levels out and makes this 10 ball, he's going to get a look at something. Oh, we're getting a lot of chances in this rack, and now things are open. Play the game. Got to win this one. So the 5 to the 2 looks pretty natural. You've got a big window for the 5, roll down to get onto this side of the 2. You don't want to have to cross the table for the 2. I think the play is 7 to the, maybe the 4. This pattern's a little weird. I'm probably going to go to the 3. I think this naturally wants to go towards the 3. Little bit of outside. That looks fine. We've got to figure out the 4. And punching off the 3 is risky. I might just roll this in. The pocket's a little bigger, so I'll probably play the 3 and roll this down table to get on the 4 in the side. Yeah, okay. And then anywhere in here off the 4 is going to give you the 5 to the 2. You could play this 3 ball clean, but I think having a little bit of backup with the 10 ball being there, it won't matter too much if I use that. You're overcutting the 3 and giving the cue ball more rail to use. The 10 comes into play slightly, so there is a downside in that sense. Now we have to make sure that we pinch back. Yeah, I really do want to be on that shot line. And making the 4 ball is the most important thing here. If I'm on the back side of the 5, like if I don't get back far enough, then I'm going to have to contend with coming across table. A lot of hand movement there on the rail. I don't love that. Made a good shot on the 4. Pinched back, but not quite enough. And you can't really straighten this out, so I needed to take a walk. I needed to think about this a little bit more, because I'm going to try to get across table. I underhit that and brought the 11 ball into play, and now we're hooked. Rolling through that 5 ball wasn't really an option because it was tracking towards the 2. We needed to come across table, but it's tricky to judge that angle off the 5. We're pretty flat on the 5. Because you're that straight in, you have to cheat the pocket a little bit, and you're farther away. Maybe the play was to roll into the 2. Maybe stun follow, hit the 5 with that kind of stun follow to either get down into the rail and nudge it, or play into the 2 and push the 2 towards the pocket. Risky, but I mean, there's no chance of you getting hooked like this. You're always going to have a look at the 2. Now I got to kick into this thing. So watch this one. I'm using my system. I learned my lesson. Finding my spot. I am going to work on a video, by the way. I'm going to work on a video to show the systems that I use. Good full hit on the 2, but such a full hit that it just rolls right through the 2 ball and scratches. So we do all that work to clear out the table, and here you go, bud. Here's ball in hand. Yeah. I like starting with the 9 ball here. I think you just set your cue up and you don't expect to get back to the table at this point. As long as he gets clean on the 11, he's got a lot of options for where to be on the 8. Center of the table, basically, on the 11 ball. This is not that. Suddenly, he didn't manage to hook himself, which is a crazy thing that'll happen. All that room on the table and you'll end up in the worst spot sometimes. He does have a look at the 11, but man, taking this anywhere but that left side pocket, if he has that cut angle, is a tall order. Is he banking this or cutting this? Yeah, he tried to cut it, undercut it. We are getting back to the table. Did not see that coming. This is a bear down moment. Very cuttable 2 ball. Cue ball naturally wants to come around to put you really tidy on the 8. You just need to set up your straight alignment on that cut angle and shoot straight through it. Try not to compensate. Try not to do anything weird. You don't need to spin this. check the back of the ball a couple times. It's not an extreme stretch. Mechanics look fine. And I miss this ball. I leave him behind the 8. Now I'm starting to feel it. Because that was supposed to be a win. You've got to make that ball. And I don't know what happened there. Maybe a little bit sort of like last second course correction or trying to steer it in, or now we get to learn that our opponent can jump. Just pops it in. Love that. And he gets a look at the 8. That could have been weird. He could have ended up on top of the 8 somewhere, but it comes back just far enough that he's got to look at it in the corner. And I love his composure here. You're not seeing much, you know, in like emotionally from him at all at this point in the match. He's just playing his game. Dude's a grinder. You're going to see it in the rest of this match. He does not quit. And he wins the 8-ball set. All those chances that we had, man. Bit of a cut break on the 1. We're over into the 9-ball set here. And he makes a few. He's got a good look at the 1. And he has to get from the 1 to the 3. Low outside will do that. So low right in this case. Outside is away from the pocket, or the inside of the angle. Everything goes here. Getting from the 3 to the 5 might be a little funky. Looks like he's going high ball off the 1. Ends up running into the 5. And gets into a favorable spot off the 3. This is laid up for a little kiss off the 5 into the 9, it seems like. And that's what he's sizing up. You just play a stop shot on the 3. If that goes, you should not have to do too much. Yeah, he's looking at the angle that he needs to play the 9. Pinch back a little bit. Gives him a nicer angle to come off the 5. He's in the habit of calling the 9-ball. Does not bother me, but I think I let him know at some point, you know, 9s are wild in this format. Good little snag. Takes that first 9-ball game. A little fuller on the 1 here. Does he get a look at the lowest numbered ball, which is the 3? He does not. So you've got the 4, 5, and the 9 clustered down here. Does not have a look at the 3. He can kick into it. He can push. Yeah, he looks like he called a push. Is he going to push to open up this cluster? Interesting. And he gives me a look at the 3. The 5-9 is dressed up. But based on where the 4 is, I think you're more likely to go for a run out if you get good on the 4. Now, I've been sitting for a minute, and I could see myself attacking this 3-ball. I think I try to cut this in. This is a thin cut from distance, but these are playable for me. Problem is you have to try to figure out what's going to happen with the cue ball. It naturally wants to go kind of thin off the 3 down towards the 4, 5, 9. Playing into it would not be the worst thing as long as you don't scratch. I think you just focus on the make. Stroked it pretty good, but I hit it so full. Oh, we're catching a bit of a roll here. In the sense that we didn't sell out a shot. I am sufficiently flustered at this point that I take a little break, so I end up cutting the footage after he tries to play safe. It looked like he hammered that 3 ball, though. We didn't see what happened. But somehow the 3 stays down near the corner pocket. There was a cut in the footage, but it wasn't super noticeable. So I took a break. I'll either take a little bathroom break or I'll go out to the car and get some fresh air and have a sip of water or something like that. But I just needed a little reset. Watch what happens after my reset. Long, confident bridge. Set up perfect for the combo. Better rhythm. Sighting things out. I'm not sacrificing my process, but I am dropping in with confidence now. Settled, not worried about the awkward cueing, staying very still. Coming off this 4 ball, you can hold it for the 6 in the side, or you can come out and back. And I usually like to go out and back, especially if I'm settled like I am. It's a little bit of a weird posture, leaning over the table like this, but I still mechanically can get my stance to where it needs to be. The out and back, I just like the out and back here. It gets you really tidy on the 6. Trying to hold it, you're under hitting that ball. You can't really stroke it in. And we'll pop off the short rail, maybe even using 2 rails to come back out around for the 7. This is a let your stroke out kind of situation. And now I'm flowing to where I'm not even really looking at the back of the ball. I just know where I need to be, and I'm just putting it there. That's a deadly mode for me. And I need to take advantage of the strategies that put me in that mode. And going out to reset did it immediately. Not always possible. But that's a commanding table run. That's where I need to be. First 9-ball break, a little thinner on the 1 than we would have liked to be, but rack cooperates for the most part. 7's going to spoil the party, blocking the 2, because otherwise the 2 to the 4 is pretty straightforward. Bit of a run ender, I would say, because I'll probably just try to play safe. If I have enough of the 2-ball, I'll just play a stop shot. I really like these. You're just sending the object ball away and then keep the cue ball down below the 9. It's so simple to get the cue ball to do what you want it to do. I think I have full access to the 2, so I should just be able to stop it there. I pinched back a little bit. Overhit that. Just overhit that ball slightly. Hopefully now that I've found that kind of settled mode, that botched safety is not going to bother me too much. He's got a good look at the 2, but it's a little awkward to get on the 4. He kind of jabbed it. Do I get a look? All right. I remember the situation. I do have a look at the 2. It's very thin. And I take a minute with this one because you cut the 2 so thin, it's going to go into the 9, likely off the 9, and the cue ball is taking that same path. You're almost guaranteed to give up a shot on the 2. If not, lay up some kind of 2-9 combination. This felt really risky to me when I was at the table. Going into the 2 and then trying to have the cue ball come out and off the 2 just seemed like too tough of a shot to me with how thin it was. And knowing that trying to apply some spin, some left hand spin to the 2 means that you're going to squirt off and you'll be more likely to hit the 4. Kicking into the 2-ball is playable here, and I think probably a higher percentage than trying to go safe. I might go for that. If I were in this kind of situation again, I might just kick at the 2 and try to make something happen. But I do try to spin off the 2. My mechanics look good. My stance looks good. But yeah, it was that squirt situation, so I was trying to put some spin on it, and the cue ball came off the side, made contact with the 4. You do not need to be doing that. And that's a way to throw yourself off your rhythm. Get frustrated again and get knocked out of your mode. He's going to bust up the 4-9 maybe to set himself up. He tried it. But is there a playable 4 or 9? Cue ball slides off the 4 into the 9. Maybe not. He's going safe. It's a good save. Keep it simple. You know the cue ball's always going to stay down below the 9. You don't have to get too cute. He hasn't seen me jump yet, right? I haven't jumped in this game. Yeah, I must not have, because I'm putting my cue together right now. This is very hittable for me. Problem is, you have to decide if you're trying to make the 4 or just get a good hit. I think I just go for a good hit. I remember briefly considering the 4 to the 5 in the side. Nothing too complicated here. You even have the rail to help you with your bridging. There's a lot you can do with the cue ball on this if you want to, but I'm just going for a good hit here. Good solid hit on the 4. Almost goes in. Very close to going in. And we don't sell out anything easy on the 4. He's got a cuttable ball, but nothing easy. I think he's just trying to get into a rhythm too. Not taking too much time with the patterns. Tries to cut it in and goes a little too full. And now we have a great opportunity. A couple ways you can do this. You can, if you want to play the 5 in the corner, you can just punch off the 4, which requires sort of pounding it. You can roll through this ball to come out and back down. You could play the 5 in the side with sort of a punchy draw stroke, like low outside, low right, to get down for the 5 in the side. I think that's what I play here. We're stretching and bridging over the 5, which doesn't help. But you have a lot of room on the 4 ball. Took the shot for granted. So just lost focus on making the ball and was basically too greedy with position. Now Kevin's got to get out. I mean, he's got a great opportunity here. There have been enough turnovers in this match to where you're going to see your opponent just figure it out, because I'm clearly not figuring it out. You get a little weird on the 5 ball, though. I think the play is to come out and back to get up for the 6 in the side. Oh, no! Oh, man. Drama. How am I getting back to the table in this game? I did not deserve another shot. Looking back at it now, I can think about it that way, but in the match, you absolutely should not think about it that way. If you don't take advantage of bad luck for your opponent or good luck for you, then you're missing opportunities. Similar shot from the 7 to the 9 that I was saying I practiced. I was warming up with it. Bit of a cut on the ball, send it out and around the table. Use this long rail to open it up. I do believe I underhit this one though. So you're just rolling through this. You can use a little bit of outside to open it up. Underhit that. And guys, I remember getting down on this 9 ball and feeling so shaky. My brain was doing all sorts of weird, squiggly demon thoughts. Just, oh, the camera's on and they're going to see me miss this one. And I really need this game and blah, blah, blah. It was just doing its utmost to throw me off. And by rights, I really needed to stand up and reset on that one. I didn't. I just played into the like, I'll shoot it anyway, which we know is the wrong thing to do. Luckily, it worked out for me in this case. Luckily, unluckily, unfortunately, because I got rewarded for the shoot it anyway approach. But we snagged that game. 5-7's tough here. The 5 might go in the side, but you have to get really cute off it. Luckily, the 4 is in a decent position to get over there. Kevin plays a really good shot to get on the 2. Overhits it just slightly, but I think he's still got enough room to pull back off it. Yeah, to get on the 3. This is nice. He could play for a breakout. If he gets an angle on the 4, maybe he just tries to bust him up, take what he gets. Little inside spin. He's got an angle on the 4. Yeah, he's just busting through him now. He goes into the 5, into the 8, into the 9. He's got to look at the 5. I don't know if it goes from here, but he's just going to fire at it. Overcuts it into the rail. Here we go. We need this one. We have to pull ahead. 5 goes in the side, and I kind of like these. I don't feel very awkward with these. And it's fun to hit this shot. You're playing the 5 into the side, and then basically with follow, the cue ball tracks back towards the 6. Just smooth through the ball here. But I go a little too punchy. And I managed to scratch that one. Rushed it a little bit. This is the only thing that I see here looking back on it. Taking a little bit more time to play it careful. But man, you just cannot be giving up ball in hands like this. Well, that one kind of slides in, but definitely cooperates. And he's finding his rhythm here. He's sort of floating through. You see the momentum shift, right? That I took my little break and composed myself and played well. And now he's finding his rhythm, but he's just staying at the table. Like I said, props to him. He's got a great mental game. Takes the lead again. Pretty full hit on the 1 ball there. He ends up on top of the 1. I imagine he'll try for a safe. He's coming up table off the 1. It's a good try for the safe, putting the 1 onto the 3. I don't have a look at the 3 from here, but I can go rail first into the 1. I don't have a look at the 1, I mean, but I can go rail first into the 1. I guess the other option you have would be to go long table kick. But I go over to look at it just to see what is going to happen with this 1 ball. And my hope was kind of this. Send it down into the 2-5. I just know that at this level where I'm at in my game, I'm not going to be able to control for that kind of kick. The position of the 1 off of that kick. Certainly something I could work on more, but kind of low on the list of my technical priorities, I'll say. So he plays a good shot on the 1, but he ends up nudging the 8 over towards the 2. He's got an edge on the 2, but I don't think it's the right edge I don't think it's enough. So he kicks at it. And he makes a good hit, but sells out a shot on the 2. This is a stretch. This is a bridge or an extension situation, most likely. But you are going to pretty naturally come off the 2 and get towards the 3. I don't think I would be spinning this. I think I need to just come into this with a clean high ball. Anywhere in here is going to be fine. This is the 4-9. You're going to end up considering that combination most likely. If I overhit this or if I spin this, then I'll end up on the wrong side of the 3, but at least almost no matter what you do, unless something really catastrophic happens here, I'm going to end up with a look at the 3. So we got to focus on making this 2-ball. It's a stretch. That always complicates things. I like how I reset there, because I'm just being aware of the 4-9. Don't want any of that sloppy nonsense like from that other video. So we make the 2. We undercut it, and we end up pretty weird on the 3. We do still have a cuttable angle on the 3, which is fortunate. We can cut the 3 here. Cue ball's going to pop off the 3, and ideally, you set up for a 4-9. The hope was always to get to the 4-9, but we really wanted this kind of angle, right? Bear down kind of moment. Make the 3 and pop out. It's easy to underplay this one, weirdly enough. Which I do. Playing the cue ball off the 4 into the 9 is not possible here. It's never going to be thin enough on the 9 to cut it in. I think we have to look at a safe. And there's a very playable safe. Sort of just spinning off the 4 to get that behind the 6. And with this one, you don't worry about the 4 ball so much. Just try to get under the 6. This looked pretty good at first, but that tiny nudge on the 6 does give him a much more hittable 4 ball. I can't remember if he's got the edge on the 4 or if he has to kick into it. I think he's kicking at it. Yeah. We get back to the table. Safe allows for that. Tough choice here. You don't want to play the 4 in this corner, because the cue ball's just going to drift, either towards the side pocket or onto the 8. You're just never going to have a good look at the 5. If you play the 4 in the side, it's going to want to come down table, sort of what I'm lining up here. And you either have to accept that it's hitting the 5, or you have to do a little something by way of cheating the pocket or spinning it to get it to go thinner or fuller onto either side of the 5. It's just hard to control. You're already so thin on the 4. I think at this point I just end up focusing on making the 4 and then take what I get. Center pocket on the 4. And I nudged the 5. This could have worked out really well, but I nudged the 5 into this position where you could jump at this, I guess. It's a pretty far jump. Looking at it from here, I should be comfortable jumping this. But I end up going for rail first. You could 1-rail kick at this as well. Around the 8. Some players will just walk up and kind of mass A to get around the 8. It's probably less risky than, it's interesting. This is kind of the aim point. I'll mark that. The mass A might be less risky in terms of the scratch than what I'm attempting here, because there's such a good chance of me hitting the inside of the 5 ball, the pocket side of the 5 ball. So I go rail first, and I'm basically just looking at kind of a full hit into the top of the 5. And I hit on the inside of it. It rolls off the 5 and then scratches. So this is It's so important for me to learn about this at this point in my game. The systems are working, and they're working well enough that I can make an adjustment to aim at different points on that ball that I'm trying to hit. I need to practice that because when you hit it full, it's just going to roll right through. It happened on the 2 ball that I kicked at earlier in the game. He's got ball in hand, and he gets really tidy on the 6 to get down for the 8 in the side. But look, he's fallen off a little bit too, and he leaves me basically an identical rail first into the 6. There's no way I do the same thing, right? There's no way I just roll into the 6 and scratch again, right? And give him ball in hand 2 times in a row. Using my system. I'm judging where I want to hit. Get my point on the rail. I see where I need to aim. Basically, the backside of this diamond is where I'm shooting into the rail. There are times where I'll use a little bit of spin to encourage this down the rail, but you don't need to spin it really. I spun that one. And it goes in. Yeah. So the spin. I think part of the problem has to be the spin, right? There's no reason to spin that. At least not that much. And I also just have to experiment with those aim spots. You cannot be giving these players ball in hand more than you like any times in any game, first of all, let alone 2 times in a row. You should never win a game against somebody if you're giving up ball in hand that much. I don't care what their skill level is. I like how he reset here. Don't take it for granted. He took the 6 ball for granted and got bit by that. So he resets. Take it seriously. A little bit of an exhale. It's good skills. And just pinch back. You know you're going to be able to make this 9 ball. This puts him on the hill. Kevin's on the hill. And breaking. Bit of a fuller hit on the 1 there. He's got to look at the 1. And it naturally takes him towards the 2. You just stroke this ball in. It's going to come across table, and you are very likely to get a good angle on the 2. Played that pretty good. Floats it in. At that angle and that speed, even using a bit of the long rail, it's still going to go. Curve around the 9 here. Get a good clean look at the 3. Bring yourself up table. Oh, he wants to go high ball. Tighten it up. I don't love that. It's going to work out for him, but I think you come around the 9. Open up the angle a little bit. He should just be able to pinch off the 3. Get on the good side of the 4. Yeah. Ooh, but he's pretty steep on the 4. So he's looking at the line off the 4, where that's going to send him down table. You don't want to try to hold this. You need to give the 4 enough juice to get to the pocket. You could go with a high ball here to try to straighten it out. Oh my gosh, look at this scratch. That's so unlucky. Got to take those. I'm looking at my line. Ball in hand on the 5. Spin down for the 6 in the side. 9 in the same side. This is a 10 out of 10. 3-ball run out for me. Pressure's on. He's on the hill. You don't need to be thinking about that, right? Just get to where you need to be. I'm not overcomplicating this. This is good, though. I'm coming around to look at the 9. It's pretty simple to get clean on this 9-ball. I hesitate a little bit there, and I end up overplaying this. This is way harder than it needed to be, but still a makeable shot. Another bear down moment. There have been so many, and I'm burning so much mental energy trying to make this happen. You got to make this ball, man. Played it clean. Keeping it alive. Opponent's still on the hill. We're fighting back. He's giving up some ball in hands, too. Don't dress up a 1-9. All right. We got a weird cluster situation we have going on here. He's at the table. Calls a push. It's an interesting situation. My man does not take a lot of time thinking about the push shot and decides to break up the cluster. I don't know. I don't know about that. I might have pushed to some kind of defense. I might have pushed to some kind of jump. I just don't know about the strategy behind using the push to clear up the table and then giving your opponent the option. I'm just going to roll him up on the 3 here to play safe. And I want the 1-ball to be in a good playable spot. He's got a kick at the 1. I don't leave him a jump. That's a play your opponent decision because I know he can jump. He's going to try to kick into the 1. He's looking at it kind of from the back side there. So come into the rail, hit the 1. Scratch is on. Oh, yes, it is. I mean, he made a great hit. Getting on the 2 ball is tricky. I'll probably roll through this 1-ball down into here. As I've talked about, I like to be able to see where I'm going. You could play into the 5, I guess, but yeah, I'm just looking at playing into the rail and coming back out. Ideally, you would just play the 2 this way, play the 3 into the opposite side, get on the 4-6 combination. This played pretty well. I think I got past the shot line, though. I think I'm below the 2 to where the cue ball naturally wants to roll into the 3. I might have to play into the 3 and push it up towards the corner. There's a big breath, settling myself. Felt a lot of pressure in this match. It's that prove myself thing that I talked about, which has not been working out great this season, I have to say. So at least that's the way it feels. But I'm just rolling into this 3-ball. Yeah, pressure to perform, pressure to prove myself, but then also just, man, there have been some tough matches. Which is great. Like, fundamentally, that's what I need. That's what I need to be doing. And playing up from a deficit like this feels really different than, you're ahead but just can't close out the whole time kind of match, which happens to me more often than not. But I need to be playing people who are going to capitalize and who are going to punish me for the mistakes. And got flirty with the side pocket there, a little tap just to show my opponent I acknowledge that was sloppy. I think this is a stop shot. I think you just shoot the 4 full into the 6, but I'm rolling down towards the 4. And I came on the outside of the 6, which is always going to make the 4 a little gross. Now I have to play it safe. This was a runnable layout. The combination was always going to be a little touchy, but I did not give that enough time. So I have to think about coming thin off the 4 and then trying to put him behind the 7 and the 9 somewhere over here. Can be tough to control, especially from distance. I can reach it pretty well. Speed's a little off. Yeah. Yeah, there's always a chance of that. I played the angle properly, though. The cue ball was going where I wanted it to go. Just overhit it. He's on the hill. Again, pretty open table as long as you get good on the 5. Spins away from the 4 and ends up nudging the 9 on top of the 7. He's got a great look at the 5, but not a great way to get on the 7 from here. He might be able to get, he might not be able to get short side. But I think his line wants to send the cue ball up table. I don't know if he can hold it to even get a look at the 7. He decides to push the 5 up table, which is a really interesting choice. I didn't have a chance to ask him about this one. My dad, my brother, and I were all talking about it after the match. I'm not really sure what the thinking was behind that. Maybe hoping the 5 would get safe, create some distance, maybe hoping that getting on the 7 is going to be challenging from where the 5 ends up. It might have just been a frustration thing or a desperation kind of thing. I'm guessing, clearly. But for my part, I can fairly easily get down below the 7 ball and line up for a safe. You could play to hit those, I think, following that same kind of line. But I play for a safe. I just want to get below the 7. And my hope was to get low enough that I basically play that stop shot, shoot a stop shot on the 7, and then send it to the other side of the 9. But I'm in a position now where I have to roll through the 7. It's touchy. I have to roll through the 7. Cue ball goes into the rail, and then I want it to basically come right back to where the back side of the 9. Put him up on the 9. Full into the 7. Dink, right onto the 9. Those are satisfying. This takes away a lot of options for him to kick into the 7 ball. The 1 rail kick, he'd have to shoot over the 9, which is uncomfortable. 1 rail this way, I mean. If he goes 1 rail this way, he's contesting with the 9. He'd have to try to masse around it or something. But could be a bad hit if you graze the 9 on the way down, which I think he did. You guys will have to go slow-mo on that one to let me know. But either way, misses the 7. I think it was a bad hit, though. I think he grazed the 9. We need this game. Oh, boy. Float across table, get an angle on the 8, out and back for the 9. Again, 3 ball out. This is a 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10 for me in practice. There's so much pressure here. Mechanically, I'm doing exactly what I'm supposed to do. I'm following my routine. Playing good speed control. I look at my shot line. I want to stroke this in, come out and back, and end up pretty much perfectly straight on the 9. I reassess, make sure to look at the back of the 8 ball after looking at the 9. I don't want to trick myself here. This is make the ball and speed control. You don't have to do anything, really. That's pretty sweet. Under pressure, after having sharked myself and getting tilted and taking breaks and everything else that's been going on in this match, oh my gosh, I caught the 9 ball. I made it, though. I don't know why I did that in editing. Sorry to take that away from you guys, but I did make that one. We're still playing the game, obviously. But I came away from that one feeling good. Hey, a little 3 ball out with ball in hand, big deal. Or not ball in hand, but yes, I did have ball in hand. Confusing myself now, but I still felt good about that one because of how much pressure there was and how I just stayed cool. just maintained my composure and played my game. After the break, he comes up. He's calling the 9, and you know, again, we talked about that a little bit. Like, you don't have to call the 9. He was like, just a habit. I was like, it's not gonna bother me. Just letting you know you don't have to do it. So he's trying to play the 1 into the 9, and then hoping that the 9 hits the 3 full enough that it rolls through. It's possible. He hit it pretty good. The 9 did go towards the 3, but it did not hit it full. It hit it, kind of cut it a little bit thin on the left side. And man, the fact that he did not get hooked behind the 7 is magical. He ends up with not just a look at the 1, but I'm pretty sure he can just make it in the side. He could. 2 naturally takes you to the 4. I believe the 5 goes past the 9. I don't think he'll consider the 5-9 combination here, but this is hill off a dry break. If he snags this one from me, this is going to sting. Straight in on the 4. He might have to punch out a little bit to get himself a better angle on the 5, but that should not be an issue. Pulls back really well. Got a lot of room to operate, and he does want a little bit of an angle on the 6 to get back above the 7. But he dogs the 5 ball. Oh, no way. How do we get to the table on this, Rack? What a game. What a crazy game. Whew, take a breath, settle in, just play your rack. It's just about this rack right now. 5's on the rail, but you're never going to miss this ball. Maybe a little bit of outside spin just to make sure you don't run afoul of the 9. We could have done better here. I think I was just excited. We definitely could have done better to get an angle from the 6 to the 7. We have to do a little bit of work to get on the 7 to where it's playable. Unfortunately, I put myself in a position where it's much lower percentage. You could stun draw to get up above the 7 this way. You could try to force follow to come out and above the 7 this way. I decide to draw clean back and play the 7 in the bottom left corner because I'm a weirdo. But I'm a weirdo who can shoot sometimes, so I'm gonna just put these balls in and make this game go away, right? We win this one. Waiting for the guy on the table next to me, which probably ended up being a good thing, because this is a must make. They're all must makes. Reset, because I didn't like how it felt. Awkward queuing over the pocket, but you gotta just make this ball, dude. It's gonna happen. We're thin on the 8, but it does not matter. Played how I'd play it in practice. A little bit of spin. Take me towards the 9. Make this 9 unmissable. Big exhale. Thanks for watching, guys. What an audio from the background.
Wow.
Turn the audio in for the crowd.
Yeah, we gotta throw this one. This was it was exhausting and exciting, and coming out 7-6. There's still kind of that weird impression, like I should have done better. I should have, prevented them from getting more points or whatever. The pressure that can come from the team environment. So I'm just trying to find a healthy way to approach that, and the communication with the team and the captain, making sure that everybody's on the same page. There's all those dynamics to think about too. Long story short, I think I played well here. There were certainly opportunities to play better. There always are opportunities to play better. But things are coming together. Things are improving, big picture. Stay tuned. The next one in the series is going to be really interesting, I think. And low-key, I'm kind of dreading posting that one. Again, I don't want to give away too much, but it was a really interesting month for Masters. So I'll be curious to hear what you guys think of this one. Thanks for sticking around until the end. I really appreciate you all for being here. Remember to like, it helps out a lot. If you're not subscribed, please do so that we can stick around. We can have more of you guys in here, and I will see you again for the next one soon.